This is on Nomi, a great new idea out of Japan. Online drinks with your friends when you can't be with them in person. Cheers. Hello everyone, it's Andy from Precision Hydration back for another On Nomi, and today's online drink is, well, I'm in Christchurch like I normally am in the UK, and this time I'm talking to someone who's in somewhere a little bit sunnier in Porto Valença in Mallorca. It's Paralympic athlete and adventurer Karen Darke. How are you doing, Karen?
I'm good, thank you. All right, all is well here.
Yeah, excellent. And I see a bottle in your hand there. Are you rehydrating post training, or are you heading down?
I'm between training actually. I've been in the gym this morning, and I've got just an easy ride to do this afternoon. So
good stuff. Well, I'm on the water today. On some of these, I've been drinking coffee, or on some of them, I've actually been drinking harder stuff as well. We've done them in the evenings, but today I've just been for a run myself. So just kind of trying to rehydrate.
excellent. Is that hot in Christchurch? Is it?
It's actually really humid today. I was running late to get back for this interview, so I had to run extra hard.
Fast.
But yeah, it was good. It tested me out a bit today. So if I look a bit sweaty and dishevelled, that's probably why it is.
You do a fraction.
We were introduced by a mutual friend, Gareth Evans, Dr. Gareth Evans now, and Gareth's words to me where he said, "You've got to speak to Karen, this amazing lady that I've met, and you'll be totally shocked that you might not have heard of her and what she's done when you read her website." And so I went online and I had a look, and I was like blown away, because you're an MBE, you've got multiple Paralympic medals, you've done all sorts of adventuring around the world, like incredible ascents and transcontinental crossings and stuff like that. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your story, because I don't think enough people know, the potted history of Karen Darke.
Oh, well, I hide out in quiet corners of the world. I quite like hiding where there's mountains and the sea and not too many people. So Inverness in Scotland, and then Mallorca in Spain for training, mainly in the winter. Yeah. But yeah, I broke my back in a rock climbing accident a long time ago now, when I was like 21. And I suppose at the time, I thought that was my life of adventure over and done with. And I did have a few months of kind of dilemma of how to go forward, because in the beginning it was like too painful just to see mountains and want to be there and be doing things in them and not finding a way to do it. But then I soon discovered that, well, I've been really lucky to have amazing friends who've always been up for doing some fairly crazy things with me. And then, with technology and equipment design, all sorts of things are possible that I didn't imagine would be. So yeah, my first big trip was crossing the Himalayas on a tandem hand-pedaled bike, which was pretty crazy at the time, because we crossed from what was Russia into China, and then across into Pakistan. So it was like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Western China, across the Taklamakan Desert and over the Tian Shan Mountains into Pakistan. And it was just the year that the border between what was Russia and China opened up. So it was a pretty intrepid adventure. And the whole route was just dirt roads and gravel and totally unsupported camping in the wilderness. I think it's a bit different now. I think there's kind of a China-Pakistan highway that's just a tarmac road through there. I'd like to go back and see it. But I suppose that was like my rite of passage, if you like, in terms of my own belief that I could still do stuff and still have pretty wild adventures. And yeah, from there it's kind of gone on to many other things.
Yeah, you've got a really interesting set of things that you seem to do, very sort of erring on the side of these like great adventurous activities, this type of stuff, but also the sort of high competitive Olympic sport, Paralympic sport, things like time trialing on the bike, and you've competed in Ironman triathlons and things. What's your is the adventurous side of you like the more real you, and you've kind of got into these other things for what, and why have you got into the more organized side of sport?
Yeah, you've got me sussed. The adventure side is me, really.
Yeah,
it kind of feels more like the real me, because I just like to be out there with good friends, sharing special times in beautiful places. The competitive sport side, it's a weird thing, I suppose, because I've always been active and really enjoyed sport. being paralyzed, so many people said to me, have you ever thought about going to the Paralympics? And I was like, well, yeah, but I'm not interested, because I'm not interested in running around a running track. I'm not interested in swimming down a swimming pool. It's not what floats my boat. And then in 2008, I was watching the Beijing Paralympics, having just got back from a kayaking trip in Sweden, and I had an injury on my bottom, which meant I had to lie on my tummy for a month. So I ended up watching telly, which is highly unusual for me. And the Beijing Paralympics was on, and I saw hand cycling was in it for the first time. And it's the first time I've seen a Paralympic sport and thought, that I could do. I love riding my bike. I love being out every day.
Yeah.
And so I suppose I began then. I just thought, well, the next one is in London. Maybe I can just try and see if I can get there. And I think because so many people said to me, have you ever thought about going to Paralympics? I had this idea that it was just something that you kind of just could do, that you just signed up for, or something like a village fun run. And then I soon learned the reality of it, that actually the level and the level of competition and commitment and the standard of athleticism is equivalent to the Olympics. I think the pool of people is probably a bit smaller, so there's probably slightly more chance of getting there than there is to an Olympic Games, but certainly the standard is incredibly high. So yeah, if I'd known what I'd known now, I may not have begun that journey, because I didn't realize it would basically take me on the next 12 years of my life, and I'm still on it. But I don't really like competing, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I kind of just think it's a bit crazy. Like, who cares who rides some random bike fastest in the world? It's so kind of ridiculous. But what I like is the lifestyle that it gives me. I like being fit and healthy, and I love training. So if the purpose of training is to compete, then I have to do the competition. But it gives you that focus. But apart from that, it's not the competition that I'm doing it for, really.
Yeah. What about the sort of inspirational aspect of it? Because obviously you were inspired by watching the Beijing Games, and I watched Rising Phoenix recently on Netflix. I don't know if you've watched that project, but
yeah,
people talk to you about it, and it was genuinely one of those sort of things that I watched it while I was sat on my watt bike, turbo training away, in my shed over a couple of sessions, and it honestly made me pedal faster and harder. It is a really inspiring thing. I got my kids are only very young, they're 6 and 4, but I got them to watch some of it as well, because they were fascinated by the fact that I was trying to explain that there's a guy here who, is doing archery, but he's not got any arms. And my little boy was like, he wanted to watch it about 5 times to figure it out. And then he was trying to do things like he wanted to try and write with a pen between his toes and stuff like that, because it just was a mind expanding thing and an inspirational thing. So do you, because you do a lot of speaking and you've written a lot of things, do you feel like you are a role model and are trying to inspire people as well?
I suppose I don't really think like that. Like, I never set out for that to be a purpose, but it is something that I've had to accept is something that seems to happen. So people meet me, and I suppose having a disability that's really visible, it captures and then doing something positive like sport or the adventures that I do, it brings this kind of perfect combination together of vulnerability and a kind of perceived weakness or perceived possible thing that could have destroyed you, kind of thing. But through that, you then see the strength that people have, or that I have. And then I think it reminds people of what they can do. So it is inspiring. And I suppose it's been a journey that I've been on gradually over the years. In the beginning, I used to kind of reject people saying, oh, you're so inspiring, because I'm just me living my life. And I feel really lucky to get to do the things that I do and to have the friends that I've got and all that is enabled for me, really. But I've had to kind of accept that somehow that combination of my physical vulnerability or potential challenges and that kind of fact that I'm doing stuff does really move people to I think as a reminder of what we're all capable of. And it was only the night before I was paralyzed that I had a conversation with a friend about being paralyzed, and I said I'd rather be dead than paralyzed. I can't imagine anything worse. And 12 hours later, there I was. So I just don't think any of us realize how resilient and strong we actually are until life shows us something tough, and then we learn. And that's something we're all learning this year with COVID, obviously, because I'm sure all of us would have said we couldn't have done things this way, and now we are doing so.
Oh, for definite. Yeah, I mean, there's a guy that I follow online who sort of said that we've all been thrown together in different ways this year. And, you know, if one of the challenges has been, you know, like everything you thought you were going to do is probably, or most things you thought you were going to do have been sideswiped. You've had to spend, you know, an immense amount of time in one place with a small group of people and all the rest of it. And if you've come to this point of the year feeling like, you know, everything is still well and good, then you should pat yourself on the back, because it's been tough, and it's been a big period of adaptation, and
yeah.
Definitely we've all learned.
But I'm a massive believer that the tough stuff is there to enable us to kind of grow as people, if you know what I mean. Not just get physically stronger, but mentally stronger, and just a reminder of what we can really do and cope with. So I think there's always really amazing good stuff to be found in the tough stuff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's the same. It's definitely been the case for us growing a small business. You know, some of the most challenging periods that we've gone through have made us adapt and have made us stronger as a result. We talk about that this year. The fact that the coronavirus sort of pandemic is definitely it's made us pivot. It's made us do new things. It's made us do things in a different way, and a lot of them in the long run I think will be good, even if it's painful at the time.
Well, the other thing I was actually chatting to a friend about yesterday was that one of the things with my disability is that because the world's obviously not designed for wheels, it means that every single day is different. You never know what's going to happen, especially because I like to travel and discover new things. I'm not just sat in one place every day where everything's set up for me and comfortable. Like, I'm constantly going into new environments. And so when we're doing that, it's impossible for us to stagnate. You know what I mean? We're always having to come up with new solutions, creative ways around things. Yeah. We're just kind of like doing the whole neuroplasticity thing the whole time. Yeah. And I think that's what's happening at the moment with COVID as well. Like, the rules are changing every day, so there's no stagnation for anyone. And that's a good thing. It pushes us, it stretches us, it makes us change, and that keeps things interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. And to sort of like move on to the reason that you and I got chatting in the first place is Gareth, our mutual acquaintance, had said to me that you were preparing for Tokyo, and we've been working with quite a number of athletes that were and still are preparing for Tokyo if it goes ahead in 2021. And specifically because it's going to be very, very hot, and it's going to be very humid, and sweating and hydration, all those sort of things are potentially a pretty big challenge. So I know we haven't had a chance to do our sort of sweat tests and things like that with you because of the problems of physically getting together with the rules and social distancing. But how have you been getting on with
Yeah, so I filled out your online kind of questionnaire to try and assess what kind of sweater I am.
Yeah,
I think we've decided that I'm a salty sweater, is it? Something like that. Certainly, Mallorca's a very humid place, and obviously in summer here, I was stuck here in lockdown until the middle of July before I got back to Scotland, and oh my goodness, you know, it's in the 40s and hyper humid, so you're just literally dripping the whole time. And I get back from training, and it's just like your skin can't breathe when you're training. So I may as well, I just look like I've been in a shower the whole, you know, just absolutely covered. So I know hydration is not something I've ever paid much attention to before. I mean, I pay attention to it as in I hydrate and I drink a lot. That's kind of forced a little bit by my disability and the fact I've got a catheter, so I'm completely paranoid about it blocking. So it means that I drink a lot. But I know in the past, I can remember going to races and just drinking so much water that I ended up flushing all the electrolytes out of my system and being really, really dizzy the night before, like going to bed dizzy because I'd drunk so much that I'd upset the balance. And I don't actually like using energy drinks very much. I don't kind of like having all that sugar, and I just don't feel good if I drink a lot of them. So I suppose I've just relied on not doing that much apart from water, or perhaps some magnesium in my water. So it's been great to start using your products, and actually, you know, you can never say for sure what it is that's causing it, but I just feel like I generally feel better for staying hydrated with a good balance of electrolytes. And
I would say you can 100% say for sure, Karen, it's our
absolutely no bias here at all.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. What you said there about pre-hydrating and overdoing it is a really, really hot topic for us, because it's something I did as an athlete a number of times. Is I would sit there drinking bottles and bottles of water in the days leading up to a race, especially if it was a long race or a hot race, on the assumption that more was better when it came to hydration. And you're right, what you do is set off a cascade in the body there, where you start weeing more, you start losing fluid and electrolytes, and actually you can, that sort of dizzy, lightheaded feeling is probably early signs of something called hyponatremia, where you dilute the salt levels down in your body significantly, and it can actually be pretty catastrophic for athletes. You know, certainly even athletes have even died in races, you know, in the last.
Yeah, I've heard of people going like clubbing all night and sort of, you know, back in the 90s, and then drinking so much water that they die. So
yeah, some of the sort of ecstasy related deaths in the 90s were definitely because actually those people were dancing all night, sweating a lot, drinking tons of water and diluting themselves, just like an athlete would be doing a long event or something. So not only is it good to like connect with people and get them to use our products for that reason, but it's also good to get the education out there, because I think quite often it's a misinterpretation of what's good practice and what's bad practice around hydration that is one of the big problems. For years we've had this idea thrust upon us that you've got to hydrate more and more and more, but it's actually about doing so appropriately. And you know, that's what a big part of our educational messaging is always around, really. So we're definitely looking forward to, you know, doing a little bit more with you as Tokyo gets closer, hopefully, if it's all going to go ahead, and get you sweat tested at some point and see if we can dial it in even more precisely. So,
yeah, no, it's been great, and I've been drinking often some of the product before I go training.
yeah.
Because I'm on the hand bike, sometimes I don't drink as much when I'm training. Well, that's not really down to the hand bike, but clearly I have got things with tubes, but I've kind of got fed up of them, and often they end up all full of gunk and horrible. So I've gone back to just having a bottle, which means I have to let go and pull it out to drink. So it means I'm probably drinking a little bit less than I might have done in the past when I'm riding. But so I'm making sure I drink before I go, and then really getting a lot in as soon as I get back. But I do feel good on it. So yeah, thanks.
That's all good. We can certainly send more where that came from. And looking ahead, as well as Tokyo, you've got another pretty big project with a very different set of environmental conditions on the horizon as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so in Rio, I won a gold medal for Britain, and it was the 79th medal for the UK. And it kind of coincided with a joke that had been running amongst the team all summer about me and 79. It was because I was going to a cafe regularly and asking for my drinks extra hot. And the barista said, ask for them at 79 degrees, because that's as hot as the machine goes. So, of course, everyone picked up on this, and they were like, oh, my God, what a diva, asking for drinks at 79 degrees. I was like, that's what I was told to do. So then I won the 79th medal. And then I was a geologist in the kind of earlier life. And I'd forgotten, because I studied gold, but 79 is also the atomic number of gold, you know, in the periodic table. So anyway, post Rio, I had that kind of post-Olympic slight blues. What am I going to focus on? And I just came up with this crazy idea to cycle across 7 continents in 9 big rides. So 2 Paralympic Games and 1 on each continent. So they're all done now, apart from Antarctica. So Antarctica is delayed until after Tokyo, because to safely train for it and do it, it's just not feasible and to be on form for Tokyo and do that. So we're planning to go down to Antarctica in January 22. Coincidentally, I discovered that 79 degrees latitude and longitude is in the middle of Antarctica. And so I was like, that's where we have to go. Yeah. So we're going to this random place where no one's ever been, which is perfect, because I had no interest in going to the South Pole. You just pay like 4 times as much money to go there just to say you've been there. But it appeals to my kind of off the wall, doing things in a bit more unique way. And we're going to create a new pole, and we're calling it the Pole of Possibility. Yeah. So we're trying to engage loads of people with it. We're asking people if they'd like to take on their own Quest 79 challenge. So it could be anything. We've had everything from cycling 79 miles to climbing 79 mountains to running a marathon if 79 people donate blood, because there was a guy with a family member with a blood that required blood donations. giving up alcohol for 79 days, 79 miles for 79 years, all kinds of permutations of things. And people have been raising money for the Spinal Injuries Association, who I'm raising money for, but also for their own charities that might be closer to their heart.
Yeah.
And we're just saying, let me know if you're doing it, and we'll get your name on the flag that we're going to plant at the Pole of Possibility. So we've got 79 places on the flag. And we'd love to hear from any of your fans. If anyone's up for doing something, giving themselves a challenge and joining us on the flag.
Well, that's very cool. We'll definitely see if we can get some ideas, and not just from our fans. I think around the office as well. We should put our thinking caps on for that.
Let's get precision hydration on the flag.
Yeah, we will. We can think of something. I saw Chris like did a little twitch when you said about giving up alcohol for 79 days. So we won't do that one, but there must be something that we can do. So we will get our thinking hats on for that.
It's a perfect opportunity to break addictions or create new good habits. We've had given up Diet Coke for 79 days. That was a good one.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, we will. Like I say, we will come back to you on that one, because I think that sounds like an awesome idea. And is there a place where people can sort of like go and read or learn more about that? Is it on your main website, or have you got a special website for the challenge?
There is a special website for it, but you can link to it from my website. So my website is Karen Darke, Darke, not to be confused with Drake or Dark Outside, because it's got an E on the end. So karendarke.com. And there's a link on there to Pole of Possibility, and that takes you through to a whole other website. And there's a page on there about the flag and about how people can get involved. So, yeah, be fab to hear from people.
Awesome. We'll try and send some people that way. Now, I know that you've got to get out and get your second training session of the day in, so I'll let you go at this point. But it's been lovely talking to you.
Yeah, I feel guilty because the second training session, it doesn't really count as a training session. It's a recovery spin, which involves going to the local cafe. So it's not going to be very hard.
Oh, well, that sounds like the best kind of training session.
But tomorrow will be.
Yeah, well, make sure you get nicely, properly, appropriately pre-hydrated for that.
I will.
And, we will hopefully get together with you, if not before the year's out, certainly early in 2021, to get you sweat tested and really rev that preparation for Tokyo into high gear.
Fantastic.
Cool.
I can send you a sample in the post in the meantime.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. All right. Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.